Crime 101, more like crime already been done. That was bad. Crime 101 is the new crime thriller with an absolutely stacked cast. Seriously, you will not believe who was in this movie. We'll be going over that here shortly, but before we get into that, what's the movie about? The movie's about an LA detective who pursues this elusive thief who keeps getting away with all of these robberies, and he works with an insurance broker for one last heist. Now that summary does do a good job at letting us know what the movie's about, what you can expect to see from this, but that's the issue I had with Crime 101. We've seen it before. We've seen it done 100 times before and done better than what this movie had to offer. Now, by no means is this a bad movie, or if you're a fan of this type of genre, should you skip it? Absolutely not. And we'll get to that. But let's talk about the bad. Look, this movie just screams cookie cutter to me. We've seen these type of movies done hundreds of times before and done a lot better than Crime 101. And by no means is this a bad movie. We'll talk about the good here shortly. But it just felt like there were no new good ideas in a genre that is just so saturated with movies that are just like this, only they give us really cool double crosses. They give us something to remember them by. But this movie, for me, didn't give me anything to remember it by. At the very least, I wanted some nice resolution at the end that made the last 2 hours worth it. All that buildup, all that character development, which we'll get to later, to be worth it. And it wasn't worth it to me. There just wasn't anything there at the end of the day that made this movie memorable and made me want to say, hey, you like these type of movies? Go check this one out. You're going to be so shocked by it. Not here, not today. I mentioned that this movie's cast is stacked, and I was not exaggerating. You have Chris Hemsworth, you have Barbaro, you have Barry Keoghan, you have Halle Berry, you have Nick Nolte, and you have the GOAT Mark Ruffalo. Everybody's here. Everybody is here in this, and they give great performances, great to good performances, and the issue with these characters, it doesn't come from the acting. It doesn't come from anything that they do to bring these characters to life. The issue is that we don't spend enough time with these characters and they're not written well enough for us to care about these characters. So the movie's structured where you have these 3 different characters doing their thing and eventually their paths crossed for the overarching story. Very rewarding in that sense, except here, there's not enough time given, even though the movie's a little over 2 hours, there's not enough time given to one single person to give us that backstory, to really make us feel like this person exists, why you should care about them in this world, in this scenario. And unfortunately, there's nothing that any of these actors can do to make us care about them because of the writing. It's funny, when I was watching Crime 101, I just got done watching Task on HBO Max starring Mark Ruffalo as an FBI agent. So watching this, I was like, oh, this feels like a sequel to Task. The only issue is that Task was a lot better than this and a lot more compelling than this. And I know that those 2 projects have nothing to do with each other, but when you compare what they do over there with Task and what they want to do over here with Crime 101, Task just does everything so much better, and I feel like what they did over there and why it worked is kind of the general direction they wanted to go with Crime 101, with the characters, with their backstories, why we should care, all that stuff, but they just don't ever hit with it as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, the cast is the best part about Crime 101. The only issue is that the writing holds their performances back because the movie doesn't ask them to really do much. They give their all, but there's really nothing there for them to give. Now, something that this movie does really, really well are the set pieces. Not like there's a ton of action in this movie, but when there is, it's pretty darn good. Chris Hemsworth is just driving through the LA streets, ducking and dodging through alleyways, dodging cars, sometimes hitting cars, and there's a lot of good tension in certain scenes in this movie. If there's something to like about that, it's the cast and the action. When I went to go see Crime 101, my expectations were actually pretty low because I saw the trailer, I got the gist of it, and it just felt like another cookie cutter general crime thriller. And that's exactly what it is. And I really wish it was more than that, because the cast is there to make this a phenomenal movie. It just doesn't do anything new that would make me want to recommend it to people, or for me to actually watch it a second time to see what I missed. I just didn't care about the characters. I didn't care about the story. A few cool scenes in there, but other than that, I've seen this done way better in other movies. But let me know what you thought about the movie down in the comments. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe I was expecting way too much from this movie and it didn't deliver in that sense, and I was looking for something that was a little bit unachievable. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching my review, and I will catch you in the next one.